Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cali Current Podcast. It's your host Grimace,
And as always, yo, your host Ish, the host with the most.
and we're coming back to let you guys know on this episode about hoarding. Have you ever pulled up to someone's house and just been like, "Dang, you guys got too much stuff in this house"?
Sorry, let me say it again. Yes, I did do that once, and it was the worst thing that I've ever seen in my life because I didn't really think that it was humanly possible because I was thinking like, oh, it's just a show. People don't really do it. But yeah, I got really surprised, and I didn't like what I saw because it was just simple stuff like throwing away, things that don't have to be around, like stuff that goes into the fridge and the cabinets, blah blah blah. But mainly, more than anything, clothing, articles of clothing strewn everywhere.
No, the worst one or one of the worst ones I've ever been to was I always have back problems you've seen in previous episodes. So when I had a chiropractor and my back was in excruciating pain, I was just like, "Hey, can you adjust me at your house, whatever?" He's like, "Yeah, come over, whatever." So yeah, I go to his place, and man, there was papers everywhere, mainly papers everywhere. I don't know if it was magazines or just unread mail everywhere, just paper everywhere. I was like, my goodness. He's like, "Oh, don't worry about this. This mess everywhere." And I was like, my
Yeah, but
goodness.
but people don't have any shame, and that's the real problem. It's like they invite you over like nonchalantly, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry about it." Yeah, of course you're not gonna worry about it. It's not your house. You can't worry about it. The thing is like you're going over there thinking, "Oh, well, I'm gonna find everything clean. I'm gonna have everything. I'm gonna find everything tidy." And no, it's not like that. I mean, I think it's sort of a little embarrassing, and I'm not saying that I'm better than everybody else because I'm guilty of it myself. I've hoarded paperwork, receipts, and a lot of crap. But the less of the things that I could say about that, least of it is I could say is that I didn't have everything visibly thrown everywhere, like in the living room or in my bedroom or whatever the case was. I hoard stuff, but I keep it all tidy and I keep it neat, nice and neat because I don't want people to know that I'm a hoarder. I would assume that people that don't give two F's are just gonna have everything thrown about.
So you said you don't want people to know that you're a hoarder. So you're saying you are a
I'm
hoarder?
guilty of it. I think we all do it to a certain extent, but the people that don't give two craps that they invite you over and it's like, oh well, don't worry about it because it's like they feel no embarrassment about it. I mean, my dad's a hoarder in a way because he's already been retired. Like I said in the previous podcast, maybe one or two episodes ago, that three actually, four at the most, that he used to be a welder. He's been retired for 6 years and he still has like metal stuff and machines that he doesn't even care to use anymore because he's never gonna be a welder again whatsoever, and he doesn't want to get rid of them. It's like I mean, what can I say? It's like I don't know what to do because it's his house. I can't tell him what to throw away or what not. I don't know. Whatever. Eventually it's gonna get that stuff's gonna get thrown away. I mean, it's not gonna be when he's around any longer. And I'm not trying to be cruel about it, but I'm the same way in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure people like that, they it's useful stuff like his metal works, his welding stuff. It's useful stuff
For him.
for him. Yeah,
But yeah, but I have no use for it. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm gonna keep the house or anything like that.
or anyone else that knows how to weld. It's useful stuff. It's valuable stuff. The thing is, he probably doesn't weld anymore. From what you're saying, that he doesn't do that no more. But it's like to just throw it away. Is like you can't just throw it away. Maybe sell it, but then again, he probably doesn't need the money. So he's probably just like,
Okay,
why would I sell it?
I'm gonna give you a good example of how my dad. I mean, I learned it from him because I'm sort of like him in the way that I don't want to get rid of certain things because I think that they're certain. We don't put sentimental value in them. I think we think that it's gonna be worth a lot, and maybe that's why I'm a collector now. That I collect certain collectibles or whatever the case may be. But he has a 1960 something two Chevy Bel Air, I think, and it's rusted out. The tires are already flanned. I mean, it ran once or twice in the 30, 40 years plus that he's already had that. And it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. It's rusting from the inside out, and it's not worth anything. He won't part with it whatsoever unless he sells it for like $2 to $3 or something like that. But right now it's just it's a rust bucket. That's all it is. I mean, I'm sorry to say, I love you, Dad, but that's what it is.
Do you think would he fix it up? Because I mean, it sounds like a nice car. I've seen it. It looks like a nice car if it's fixed up. Would you think he would like get it running? Could get the engine running?
He's done that before. It's run before, but he's never used it as a vehicle that he drives on the weekends or on a special day, like 2 or 3 times out of the year.
Like cruising it on a Easter or Memorial Day?
No, that's the thing. It's like I'm gonna take it upon myself because people have given him offers to buy it from him.
Decent offers or like low ball offers?
Come on, we all know that he's gonna get lowball because it doesn't run and it.
Oh yeah.
Whatever, the inside out, it's not complete and blah blah blah. If it would have been fixed up nicely, I'm sure you could have got $60,000 out of it because that's how much they're going for, give or take. But if he wants to ever sell it, I'm gonna take it upon myself that eventually I'm gonna have to put 40 or 50 grand in it just to sell it at like 70, 80 grand. But I'm not gonna sell it. By then if it's still alive or whatever the case may be, I'm gonna make sure that he keeps it. And then if he passes it on to me, I'll drive it or something, whatever the case may be. But he's hoarding that vehicle. He's had it for 30 plus years. He just doesn't want to get rid of it. I mean, I used to hoard a lot of paperwork from like high school. And, I still have a lot of stuff, but I've thrown away so many things too because I'm like, well, it's not worth anything. It's just paper or whatever the case is.
So I wouldn't classify the car as hoarding. I would say it's holding on to it in the back burner. Then again, I mean, I too have a vehicle that's old, like an 88 vehicle. Well, it's actually, like that vehicle too. It's a classic. So I wouldn't consider it hoarding, but then again, I am a little bit guilty of it. But mine, it did get damaged. It was into an accident. Someone crashed into me. I've been trying to fix it little by little, but life happens, and I kind of put on the back burner of things, and I haven't gotten around to fixing it. But yeah, so I'm guessing maybe he's the same thing, like saying in the back of his mind, like, yeah, I'm going to fix it and then it's going to be nice, like how I am too, but I just don't allow enough time to do it.
Well, my dad literally just turned 73 last month, and I don't know what he's thinking because he's already, like I said, he's had that vehicle, oh man, since like 95. So it's been at least 30 years that he's had that vehicle. He's probably driven it a handful of times. When he first got it, he couldn't register it right away because, so many years that it wasn't registered. And you have to pay the back registration for all those years that it wasn't registered or whatever, whatever the case was. So it's like, if I come up with the money, I'm going to have 50 or 60 grand lying around so I can make a brand new cherry sparkling brand spanking new or whatever the case is. And by then it's like I'm going to have to keep it as a keepsake because, classic cars only gain value, especially if you take good care of them, over the years, especially now in this car market, that used cars are going for astronomical amounts of money. And imagine for a classic car that's nicely fixed up, it's going to go for a lot more.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as consider hoarding, I wouldn't say hoarding because, according to the Google search engine, it classifies hoarding as a person with a hoarding disorder, a mental health condition characterized by the persistent difficulty discarding possessions, even if they are of little value, according to the accumulation of excessive clutter.
Correct. Yeah, it's little value or no value at all, but it's mostly sentimental. They put a sentimental value on it.
So which
is worth nothing, basically.
So vehicles classic vehicles do not fall into a hoarder. So that's just collecting a value, a classic car.
Correct. I'm gonna say the same thing that my oldest brother, who has a 1990 Honda Civic hatchback, my little brothers weren't using that vehicle right now because it's, he passed it down or whatever the case was. But it's like you're just tell everybody what you have. I think we already said it on a podcast or two ago or whatever the case is, that you have a Supra, right?
Toyota
the one
Supra.
That's the one in the backyard.
Yes, sir.
It's sitting there collecting dust, and it's becoming a rust bucket too, because you're not going to do anything with it.
I mean,
if you had like the 30, 40 grand lying around, I'm sure you would bring it back to renovated, brand spanking new, right?
it doesn't need 30, 40 grand. It was involved in, it was T-boned by this young kid who,
So
he
it's
was,
a total loss vehicle. So you have it
Yeah.
back there as a salvage title.
correct.
Okay.
It was T-boned by this young kid who, he was driving a Tesla. His parents were in China, by the way, and he was like really distraught. And I was like, first of all, he wasn't supposed to be driving that Tesla. And I was mad. I was like, why are you driving that Tesla that crashed into me, crazy kid? So, yeah, long story short, yes, I am going to fix it. And for a good while, I was working aggressive on getting parts for it. But that's not a hoarding disorder, because
I'm not saying that it was. It is.
Yeah.
Because, look, and just to put it a little, like, in layman's terms or whatever the case is, I'm going to be a little, not biased. I'm not going to be stereotypical. But every Mexican in the world has a car that doesn't really run or work sitting somewhere, especially if they have a big backyard or if a big driveway or whatever the case is, that's just sitting there, you know. And I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm saying that because it's true. It's real. And I'm only saying it because it's true, you know. I mean, I don't have a car that's just sitting there, but my dad has two of them, actually. And it's funny because it's true. It's real. It's a fact. I mean, we all have a car, especially, you know, it's like we didn't really say it in the last podcast, but it's like if we have the space for a used beater that we're not going to use or we're waiting to renovate it, we're going to keep it because that's just what we do. It's in our mentality. But me, I like to hoard, I guess, you know, collectibles. And I am a hoarder in that sense because I have a storage full of collectibles that I'm hoarding. And eventually they're going to be worth some money, but I'm probably not going to be around to enjoy selling them or whatever the case is.
Well, then, see, it's not hoarding then. Because, see, by definition, hoarding is things of little value. So, see, if you're collecting collectibles, which you're telling me, like, hey, look at this collectible. Okay, if it's going to be a collectible, that means it's increasing in value or it's going to have value.
But I don't know that because I haven't even checked to see if they've gone up in value. I know some items are very collectible and they've doubled, tripled, quadrupled in value in terms of from what I bought them at original retail price, which is MSRP, right? Everybody knows what MSRP stands for. But
manufactured suggested retail price.
The point is that I can hoard. I've hoarded a lot of old paperwork from back in my high school days, and I have a lot of it still. Well, I have a little bit of still, and I got rid of a lot of stuff.
An interesting thing, whenever I'd go to the store before the 99-cent store went out of business, I would go check it because they had like toy section, Hot Wheels. And I would go through the toys, the vehicles, and I would get the ones that I thought were pretty cool. And they would sell them for $1. And then I would go back and I went on like OfferUp and I started selling them for $6. And people are actually like interested in them. I was like, oh, damn, someone wanted this vehicle for $6. And I go check on Amazon.com and they're actually going for 16. It was a Monte Carlo Super Sport. I think it was a Monte Carlo Super Sport. And someone wanted to buy it for the $6 I had it listed for. And I was like, damn, that's not bad. I mean, I don't mind getting a 600% increased return on my investment. I mean, 1,600 would be better if I go, put it on for $16 like Amazon. But I mean, I told the guy, let me just go check in my garage and find it because I'm pretty sure I know where it is. But still, that's not hoarding because, see, this is valuable stuff or things of value. See, the definition of a hoarder continues on to say is, this behavior can significantly interfere with daily life and cause distress for both the individual and those around them.
And also, hoarding, the definition of hoarding also, if whatever you're collecting or whatever you're not throwing away or whatever the case may be is also affecting not only your mental state because you don't want to get rid of it because everything to you is valuable technically. It also is affecting your health, physical health, because a lot of those things could probably have chemicals or whatever the case may be. And that
depending what the item is.
Correct. It just depends. And I guess the items, look, I literally just gave Eric or Grimace these two the other day. and I mean, I bought them really cheap for $1.20 or whatever at any local manufacturer. Sorry, at any local retail store. But I know if he really wanted to, because this is a color that's really, especially it's an Arkham Knight Batman vehicle. This could easily go for $10 because it's a yellow color that people can't find here and there. And the other one's a Retro 66 original Batmobile. I mean, it's a grayish color, and they're collectible because maybe they might not sell in a certain state or whatever the case may be. So everything it just depends. Everything is sellable. Everything has value or some sort. But I don't think of myself as a hoarder because it's a mental incapacity that I know I can control for me. And, who knows for those people, it's hard to get rid of those stuff. I've seen that show before. Have you ever watched that show?
I've seen the show, and you know what? I would use that term really loosely, like we're using it right now. Sometimes I'd mess around and call, say my grandparents were hoarders or my parents were hoarders, just for holding on to a lot of stuff in their garage and storage. But I guess then that means that I haven't been using that term correctly, because a hoarder means like the show. In the show, the people in that show, they do have a mental disorder.
Correct. Yeah.
Their house, it's like they basically don't even have like a place on the couch or living room.
Yeah.
Or sometimes even a bed to sleep on. They just have like stuff or whatever they're hoarding everywhere.
Food items, maybe. Yeah.
Usually it's food items and just like trash. Like,
let me give a good example. Look, I moved in to a place when I first got separated from my wife, which was several years back, maybe 2 or 3 years back. And I started working in Phoenix and doing the job that I used to do. And I was never there. But that family, I mean, and I'm not saying who it is because they know who they are. They collected every little piece of thing. And the man and I'm not saying that I'm disparaging the man or anything, but he collected everything and they didn't throw anything away. It's like this guy had an old Lincoln, 1995 whatever lowrider, and he never got rid of it because they hoarded every little thing that they came across or whatever. They never threw anything away, and they even bought dishwashers and refrigerators, and just stuff was thrown back there. It was like a junkyard. It's like I had to navigate myself because I lived there for a year and a half, almost a year actually, and I lived there, and it's like it's hard to get through all that stuff. But myself, I don't think of myself as a hoarder, but I can be guilty of it. Even though, I'm not considering myself to have a mental, I'm not saying that there's something wrong with it. It's just, I know that maybe all of us can possibly, watch the show and maybe learn a thing or two from it. But for my dad's stuff, I'm gonna have to get rid of it eventually. Especially if he doesn't want to get rid of it, he's not gonna want to get rid of it in his lifetime, and I'm gonna have to do something about it because I'm the one that's the executor of the living trust.
Yeah, and it's good to get rid of the things like while they still have some value, or even if you have stuff and you don't use it, it's good so you could be the one to give it. Because also I remember my grandparents, their neighbors, my grandparents, their neighbors also, I think they passed away or someone passed away. Long story short, they moved, and then the lady that lived or whoever was doing stuff there, hit the box of tools. Long story short, the box of tools of the guy that lived there passed away. They ended up giving it to my dad. They're like, "Oh, here, he doesn't do nothing," and it was like a whole box of organized tools. Like they were all organized, a lot of good stuff. I was like, man, I mean, I'm pretty sure he had nephews or grandsons or sons that could have, gotten it. But since they're just trying to get rid of the estate, they're like, oh, here, we'll give it to the neighbor's son because he's a mechanic, which happened to be my dad. And yeah, he kept all his tools organized too. Like, my goodness, that's how you keep tools nice and organized.
And there's also an extreme as to hoarding, because there's the opposite of that where people want to go like extreme couponing, and they want to go to the stores. They want to buy all these merchandise to technically, I guess, stockpile, because in case there's ever an emergency or whatever the case is. And it's like, that's also a mental disorder too, in my opinion, because people can have 20 detergents of the same brand, because it's like, I don't know, if you buy 2 of them for $10 instead of buying 1 for $15, that's a big, deep discount. That's almost like a 40, 50% discount or whatever the case is. People will do that too. I'm guilty of that too, So it goes on the opposite side of the spectrum. So it's like it is also a part of a mental disorder, and people don't want to see it that way, but it is what it is. We have to call it a spade a spade.
I wouldn't say that's a disorder. That's just saving money. I mean, if you buy it in bulk and you get to save money, I mean, why not? A lot of times I go to Costco and I'll buy the big bulk of toilet paper. It's a good price, and I'm gonna end up using the toilet paper anyways, or me and any guests that come over. So I wouldn't consider that a problem. Um, but yeah, definitely. If you think that's to me, it's more like being frugal and getting a good bargain.
Well, I mean, it goes both ways. I mean, we can't be chastised for the things that we want to do to save a little bit of money. But I've been guilty of it myself where, I mean, I buy these a lot. Honestly, I've probably had like 6 of these, more like 4 or 3. I gave him one, so now I have one less. And I bought the other one too, the gold Arkham Asylum Batmobile. That's probably, I maybe have 2. Now I have like 2. I mean, this was my 3rd one, so I still have 2. My point is, I give stuff away too. I'm gonna have a nephew that's gonna come over from Mexico, and they don't sell this stuff in Mexico, and I'm gonna give them away because it's cheaper than buying him something brand spanking new that's like way more money.
Yeah.
And he'll appreciate this because they don't sell these things over there in other countries.
So according to the American Psychiatric Association, they estimate about 1.5% to 4.3.5% of all adults have some sort of hoarding behavior. So it's not just funny hoarding TV clips, like, that it actually, there are people's lives impacted by anxiety, depression, and clutter-induced isolation. So especially as we age, especially post 60-year-olds, it starts to get more and more common. So, it's a good idea to treat it like an illness and not necessarily like an embarrassment. Because, yeah, so now that I reflect back and I'm talking about the chiropractor, which, man, good looking out for fixing my back all that time. It's not something to be criticizing. It's just, yeah, he was like he's like an old man. And it's actually an illness. And now I kind of feel awkward or messed up about talking about it when he's a great person now, but he might just have an illness. So,
and another thing too that we can talk about, and not because hoarding is just the main topic here, is that who knows how our mind works, where let's say we went to go eat last night or today, right? And I would say that if I bought a $3 Coke at whatever, the local restaurant, and I didn't think anything of it because it was a large Coke or whatever the case is. But then let's say if I go turn around and if I spend $3 on a Coke, on a 2-liter Coke at the local supermarket, I think that's expensive.
No, they'll be like $3.49 for a 2-liter. He'll be like $3.49.
But that's the thing. It's something that's not instant, and our mind works that way. Where like I'm not gonna spend $3, $3.50 on a 2-liter Coke bottle or whatever the case
plus
is.
Taxes. But
correct.
Yeah, $3.50, $3.49.
And CRV.
$3.50.
So after it's all said and done, about $4, more like $4.50.
But then when we go to the restaurant, like we're at today, like
we drop no problem $5 on a drink.
What kind of soda would you like? Let me get a soda.
Yeah.
And then when you check the price, like $3 something a soda,
yeah,
4 or $3, you're like, damn.
Like myself, we went to have mariscos and they sell horchatas there, and those horchatas are easily $5. And usually these restaurants will charge you per serving, not just unlimited. You don't get unlimited servings. Sometimes they don't.
Unless if it's a soft drink, but yeah,
correct.
Horchata or
but
Nawa.
It's like $5 easily. It's like taco. It's like paying $5 for a taco. I would never spend $5 on a taco. But then it's like I go to Buffalo Wild Wings and I get unlimited wings for $25, and I only get like 10, 15 wings that's not cheap. That's an investment. It's our mind works silly that way, where we think certain things are too expensive, and then we end up dropping so much more money. Like, for instance, going to the local liquor store and paying $12 for a 12-pack of whatever your favorite beer is or favorite drink is, and then you're not minding when you go. You think that's expensive, but then when you go to a local restaurant or your local watering hole and you're paying, I don't know, $12 for 3 beers and 12-ounce beers or whatever the pint is or whatever, and you don't think that's expensive because you're enjoying it at the moment.
Well, talking about enjoying it at the moment, what about when we're at an Angels baseball game?
Yeah, there you go. That's the ultimate right there.
Well, how much are the beer? The tall, well, at least right there, they're a tall can.
Each. But that's
$15.
24 ounces.
So it's like 2 beers for $15, which comes out to be $7.50 a beer.
Basically, yeah. And we have no problem dropping that because we're enjoying the moment. We're in the moment. We're watching the game.
You're watching the game.
You
want to
be
have a
revved
beverage.
up. You want to be hyped up. You want to be, yeah, let's go Angels, this, that, and the other, you know?
And then you're already there, like, oh yeah. And then you're in line to get the beer. So by the time you get in front of the cashier, you already know it's gonna be pricey. It's like, oh well, let me get my beer. Oh, hurry up, let me get to my seat afterwards or go.
But our mentality changes as soon as we're sober. We're in our five senses and we're at the local supermarket and we don't want to pay $20 for the same type of beer, even though it's a 12-pack. And they're like, damn, really? I'm not. The way I correlate is I'm not getting $1 a beer can, and that's the way. And then if I pay anything over that's too expensive, and I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Our mind is really weird and messed up. We're sadistic people.
I think it's more the marketing people,
You
the
think
marketers, the marketing.
Yeah,
like
It
they
works.
know how to do it. I don't know.
yeah.
But you know what was interesting? One time, you know how Costco gives like samples of beer.
Yeah.
So one time,
Really? They do?
no, they give you they give you samples, right? They give you like samples of
like
food.
samples of everything. Yeah.
So check this
Except
out.
alcohol.
One time I was in Costa Mesa. I think it was at Albertsons before Albertsons went out of business, whatever.
Yeah.
And
They
then
got bought off mostly by
Martin
Vons.
Vons.
They integrated with Vons, a lot of them.
So before they went out of
Kroger.
business, there
In
was
other
this
words, Kroger.
Albertsons in Costa Mesa. It was on Harbor and by the cemetery. I forgot what it's called. Harbor and it's by that cemetery, anyways. And
I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember.
there's like a Home Depot right there.
Yeah, I think I know where it's at.
Yeah. So, anyways, right there, they literally had like a sample or like a little booth of samples of vodka. I was like, you got to be kidding me! This is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, I did take a sample and it was
It
pretty
was
nice.
just like
Pretty good.
generic vodka.
It was like a vodka they're promoting because they
I
had a
see.
booth there.
It was brand new, coming out.
Yeah,
maybe,
coming out, they're promoting it.
Okay, maybe
But-
Sky.
Yeah, I think it kind of felt like Sky.
Okay.
So now that I'm thinking about, it's like, okay, so if you're on would the effect work the same? Like, okay, when you're at a baseball game, you have a beer in you, maybe you pregame it, and then once you're inside, you're like, okay, I don't mind spending money. Oh, a $5 pizza slice, okay. $10, $12 nachos, bring it on. Or no, maybe like $18 nachos, huh? Because the nachos are pretty
because
good.
when we're inebriated, we don't give a crap. You know, we have the money, or like, oh, whatever. It's not a big deal.
It's okay. So if you have a shot before you start grocery shopping, I'm wondering if that's why. Because normally you don't see that. Like Costco doesn't give you, here's a sample of this beer while you're shopping. It's interesting.
Yeah, well, you're right. The marketing does. It's hard to fathom what the world would be like without being a little inebriated or whatever the case may be, because our inhibitions, like everybody says, our inhibitions go down. We drop our guard. We don't care what we pay for as long as we are having a great time. And I think that's where everything fools us, you know, the way that they market everything towards us. And it's just life. It's a fact of life.
Yeah, I mean, I started learning about the power of marketing when I found out, like, when you go to the grocery store, you go to the liquor store, it's a 7-Eleven, all those companies pay, like, a premium, a price, like, whenever you look at the chips, whenever you look at where the cookies are, whenever you look at anything, where anything is placed, the people that are selling those, or the companies, they pay prices, the cereal boxes, the ones that are like at eye level, the ones that are like way up top, I think those.
Most of the generic ones are all the way on the top or all the way in the bottom.
Yeah, like the bad eye level ones is bad. But like the ones that are like medium to like low eye level for like the kids to see or for like your eyes to see, that's the premium pricing one. I was like, damn, that's crazy. And yeah, when I go to the 7-Eleven or convenience store, I don't know why. Like, I know chips are bad for me, but when I'm there, like, for whatever reason, the marketers know what they're doing, and it makes me want some chips. But the only thing that stops me from buying the chips is I always remember, like, No, remember the bad food dyes, the red 40, the blue 5, the yellow 7, whatever.
And I'm just going to give a great example right now of how this economy that we're living in, or the market, how it is today, is that they're really fooling us into thinking that we're getting quality products. Okay, so first example that I want to give. My mom recently went to the local Costco. She bought a box of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. That Haagen-Dazs ice cream used to be this fat. I'm not kidding. This big, this fat. Now it's possibly half of the size for the same amount of price, or for a little bit more maybe. Even though they minimized it, the prices have stayed the same, or they raised the prices somewhat. That's the first example.
Is it the same size or is it bigger
No,
or smaller?
no. The same price or more amount of the price. But it's a smaller. It's half of the size that it when it came originally.
So shrinkflation.
Correct. And also, I noticed that when I went to Taco Bell, like yesterday, to a different one, because I work at a different site right now, is that their hot sauce packets, it's all water. I've noticed that it's not even, it's not even thick anymore or chunky how it used to be. Now it's all water. It just comes down like as water. They're watering down our things. Because it's free, of course, I get that, but I noticed it yesterday last night when I went to Denny's with my wife, and I bought mozzarella sticks for an appetizer, and the marinara sauce was all watered down. It sort of still had the same flavor, but we're getting fooled into paying more money for a lesser product because they're giving us a cheaper, watered down version of the product, and I mean that in layman's terms, and I mean that theoretically and specifically.
So when you dipped it in the sauce, it was not saucy.
Water.
It was like
wasn't
watery.
chunky. It was not chunky whatsoever.
Because I'm a fan of marinara sauce. I know some people.
I love marinara sauce.
Me too. I know there's some people like, oh, they put too much marinara sauce on the pizza.
No.
I love, like, when
Me
they
too.
put extra marinara sauce on the pizza, like that Chicago style, like, man, that stuff is good. So it was watered down. If it's watered down, because see, what I'm trying to figure out, maybe that's just their recipe. Because, okay, Denny's is Denny's. I don't know if they're known for their Italian marinara sauce. Have you?
They're not, but point being is that I knew it was watered down because it literally trickled down like water.
It
didn't stick to the actual cheese stick.
Yeah, marinara sauce is supposed to be soft, not watery like
Correct.
ketchup.
It was
like
it was very, very watery. It was not thick. It was not chunky. It was not.
From what you say, it seems
it was not grabbing onto the stick.
It seems it's like that first initial squeeze of the ketchup bottle when you squeeze it out and it first comes out like waterish.
Yeah, and I always do that. If anybody knows to do that, I always squeeze the bottle like
to the side.
Yeah, I always do that on the sink or in the trash can because I don't want that water sauce from the ketchup. But we're just living in different times. They're gonna try to trick us into thinking, oh, you're getting quality. But you're not. They're watering everything down. Like I've said before, our chips, if we buy a big bag, party size bag full of any type of brand chips, half of it is air, and then the rest of the half, and it's getting lower and lower every time the price of the chips goes up. Meaning we're getting less product for more money. That's what it basically is going to come down to. So we're all getting screwed in one way or another. And that's what I can say about how the times that we're living in today is just how it is, and we have to grin and bear it. There's nothing we can do about that. But thank you very much for watching the Cali Current Podcast with your host Ish
and Grimace. And I mean, like always, frugality is meant to be smart, researching, comparing deals, saving where it matters.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being frugal because I've been frugal all my life.
Yeah, like even Reddit's frugal thread defines cheap as avoiding spending no matter what, even if it's for things that matter. So yeah, that would be cheap, but I mean, being frugal is like, just cutting corners on things. Like, I mean, even I bought a used dehydrator. I mean, it looked brand new to me. The person who sold to me said they used it a couple times, but then they don't want to. I mean, because dehydrating food, you have to get the fruit, you have to cut it or whatever it is, strawberries, pears, and it's a mission. I mean, I do it because it's not too much of a mission for me. Well, actually, finding the time to do it does turn into a mission, but
I don't mind being frugal. I've been frugal all my life because I grew up like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, people will call me a cheapskate or the case. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I like to save money like the next person, but there's nothing wrong with being frugal because now we need it more than ever, especially in this economy.
And in this economy, needing it more now than ever is good economic labor. So regarding the anti-ICE protest, last but not least, the protests are going down across the nation against the ICE deportations. If you're being out there in the protests, I'll say stay safe. Um, I've seen those protests when they get out of hand back in the 2020 protest. And I mean, I was a little bit younger back then. Now, like, my body starts to hurt whenever I do sudden movements and sudden action. So I try not to be too active as far as the nighttime protesting. But yeah, if you like that adrenaline rush, it is kind of fun.
I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's risking your life for just. I mean, that's just the way I see it. I've never gone out on a protest. I don't see. I mean, I guess it does work to a certain extent, but I wouldn't be out there because I'm not gonna put myself through something that I can avoid. That's just the way I do it.
I mean, if you could, yeah, if you could avoid it, that's good. But I mean, from what I've seen and experienced, there's two types. There's basically two sections. You go to the regular protest, just keep it formal, keep it safe. And then there's a nighttime protest, which usually end up being riots, and the police end up being aggressive because they want to go home. They want to end their shift, I would guess. They don't want to get that much more overtime, so they're just trying to wrap it up. So, yeah, long story
Who
short.
knows?
Yeah.
Just point is be safe. Make sure that don't get yourself into something you can't handle because that's just, I guess, the golden rule for whatever the case may be. Be safe no matter what.
Yeah, you always want to make sure, like you said, be safe. And a lot of these people just want to express themselves because, I mean, it's like you just can't. The government makes mistakes. I mean, as you've seen in history, a lot of the things they do, the rules they do, they haven't been good. And if people don't come together and let the government know, then, but obviously you need the majority of the people to do.
It's called the First Amendment, so you could always
Yeah.
redress your grievances, especially if you want to protest. And there's nothing wrong with protesting. It's part of our First Amendment: freedom of assembly, freedom to assemble quietly, peacefully, and not do the things that. There's always agitators, no matter what. So just stay away from people like that because they're just gonna get you in trouble.
Yeah, because I've seen protests, people from religious leaders, they go protest. But the religious leaders, they're not going to be there at the nighttime. They're not going to be over there starting a ruckus.
They're mostly there to be paid attention to. They want people to notice that they're there. They mostly do it for attention, for whatever case may be.
The religious leaders or the...
Everybody, anybody, doesn't matter who it is. Especially in the daytime.
I mean...
Doesn't matter what walk of life your background is from.
It is for attention, but attention to a cause.
Correct.
To bringing it back to the 2020 protests of the George Floyd protest that caused that thing. Okay, say no one protested and everyone was just like, oh, we don't agree with this. This is not right. What happened? Then that policeman would ideally, he probably would never have faced repercussions because in the past, whenever the police have, done something, the government has always just allowed them to get away with it, which I understand. They have a tough job and sometimes they do go crazy. So I could see why the government would just be like, hey, he did a bad thing or she did a bad thing, but we're going to let it slide because they deal with a lot. But when it gets to a heinous point and the mass public, just kind of halts the economy and says, hey, this is not right, then they are kind of forced to take some action. So, I mean, yeah, it's a really controversial issue. So, main thing, yeah, stay safe out there. If you want to express yourself, hey,
do it peacefully.
Do it peacefully, yeah.
Do it mindfully and do it no matter what with caution because things going to happen. There's always somebody that's going to rile the crowd up. And you never know. I mean, there's always that one bad seed that wants to watch the world burn. World burn.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, don't just sit there and take, whatever is being placed upon you, such as if they're unjust laws, such as bringing it back to the old times, the Boston Tea Party. I don't know if you remember, the Boston Tea Party was about back when the British, which was still ruling the United States, they were trying to tax the United States people, or the colonizer here in the Americas. I think it was like a 2% tax. And the people weren't taking that. They're like, you're not going to tax us. I think it was 2%. You're not going to tax us 2% on our goods. So they just started throwing all the tea off and just throwing it away. I mean, nowadays we're fine with 10% tax or even more, but yeah, see if you don't do nothing, it goes from 2%
Correct.
to like 30%.
This nation was built for the people, by the people, and the home of the brave, the land of the free, home of the brave, and you can make a difference if you really chose to, but just be safe about it. Okay, thank you very much for watching the Cali Current podcast. We're always here. Leave a comment in the comment section. If you have any future references or any future comments, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, and sound off. Are you decluttering, balling at the bars, protesting in the streets? Let us know.
Yeah, so don't forget also that you don't have to be the world's greatest dancer, and if you like the way the movie, sorry, I'm not saying it right.
Hit him with the chicken dance. Hit him with the chicken dance.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter if you're the world's greatest dancer as long as you enjoy the party. Okay. All right, take care, everybody. We love you. Peace out.
Peace out, everybody.